Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to give a book review and my honest opinions about a book. Today we will be talking about Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. Quick little backstory, this is a sequel to the first book, Better Than the Movies. That book was super popular, came out a few years ago. So this is the second book to that. Now I honestly think you should read the first one before you read the second one. It will make a lot more sense. And they're both really good. I mean, the first one was popular for a reason. The first one is definitely my favorite. And they're both really different books. And that's kind of the first thing I want to get into is just like comparing both of them. And yeah, it's the same author, so you have the same sort of writing style. But I think the storyline is completely different. The romance is very different. The tropes, very different. Characters, different. Besides the two main characters. Like in the first book, you are following their love story and how they became enemies to lovers, and they're obviously still in high school. So that's like what the first book is about. The second book is 2 years later, and you find out that they broke up and they only lasted a few months into their first year of college. And it basically starts out with Wes starting school at UCLA. His first year, Liz's third year, even though they're the same age, and that his whole intention is getting her back. They stumble upon each other at a party. The whole book is basically Wes trying to win Liz back, and Liz figuring out if she still hates him or if she is still in love with him. And that is pretty much the whole book. I've seen a lot of other booktubers say this. The first book is Liz's story and the second book is Wes's story. And I completely agree, because the second book really is more centered around Wes, even though it is dueling POVs, you switch back and forth, and I would say pretty evenly, but I feel like if you had to choose one, I think it is more weighted on Wes. It just seems that way, and I think this because you start the story with Wes starting school for the first time, like his second chance at his baseball scholarship and just starting at UCLA. And so you're literally following his whole experience of starting college and the first few months of his first year, while when it starts out, Liz has already been at school for 2 years. She's already established, she already has had a life for 2 years, she has friends, and you don't really get much of a backstory on the past 2 years of her life, but you get a really deep backstory of the past 2 years of Wes's life. And just the fact that you're following his experience when he's starting college. At the same time, Liz is starting her third year of college, so it's like she already has a life, but we're following Wes as he is starting a new life. So it just seems that you are getting more into Wes's perspective, just like getting a second chance, while Liz, you're just jumping into her life 2 years into college. Obviously the whole goal of Wes trying to get Liz back, like that is completely Wes's perspective. He's the one trying to get her back. It's not the other way around. So you're really just following like a guy trying to get a girl and the girl just like kind of reacting to it. So it's more like action driven towards his perspective, because he's the one doing all the things to get her, while she's kind of just like, again, reacting to everything that he is doing. There also isn't that much romance in this book, even though it is a romance, because the whole book is obviously Wes trying to get her back. They're not like being romantic with each other, I would say, until the end. I mean, yeah, there's some points where like romance is brought up, or he does super small gestures for her, or you get reminded of their romance in high school, or you get flashbacks of their first year in college and like when they were together. They're not together, and Liz, for a majority of the book, doesn't like it and doesn't want any of it until she realizes it towards the end that she is obviously still in love with him. You get Wes's thoughts of like him thinking romance stuff towards Liz. So I guess in a way it's not like outwardly romance, like actual actions, but more his thoughts. He's thinking a lot of romantic thoughts, and obviously he loves her, so you're getting into his own mind of the way he thinks towards her and what he wants with her, what he wants to do with her, and all that is very romantic. And he does talk about that a lot. You're not seeing them be romantic with each other, but instead you're reading about him wanting to be romantic with her, if that makes sense. And something that I didn't realize until after I read both the books is that it's really just centered on two characters. Like, there are side characters, minor characters, but you really don't get to know them whatsoever, and they're not even in it that much. Like, I think especially Nothing Like the Movies, the second book, you really only focus on Liz and Wes because they have friends like that show up in the beginning that you like think might be in the story more, but they're actually not, because like once you get into the book, it just becomes about Liz and Wes, and like those characters that were mentioned in the beginning, they're mentioned not a lot throughout the book. So yeah, my overall opinion of it is that I did enjoy reading it, and I think this book is perfect to read in the fall because it is like the best college vibes. If you're looking for like a college vibe book, this is definitely the best like college vibe book I've ever read. Like I've read other books that take place in college. This is by far the best one. Like this has the best college vibes, and it is very realistic to being in college because I was in college. I graduated, but I was obviously in college for 4 years, and genuinely, like, she did such a great job on relatability. She definitely hit the mark on the whole like college experience and just how being in college is like, and she did such a good job on that. So College Vibes gets a 10 out of 10, like completely. And it's UCLA, which is cool because it's like a big name brand school. I live in Southern California, and this is about a Southern California school. So even though I didn't go to UCLA, I still think College Vibes were amazing. And fall vibes in general, this book takes place in the fall, so just like the first one actually, because the first book takes place majority in the fall, this one also takes place, I would say, like late summer, fall. I read this book, as like so many other people probably read this book, because you just love the characters, and that is why she wrote a sequel, was because people fell in love with the characters and their romance, their love story. So I think my overall thoughts on this book and like review and rating, I like Liz and Wes so much. I mean, you're literally reading a dueling POV of two people that you probably like, and that's the whole book, just like their thoughts, what they think, what they're doing, their interactions, and it's not really about anything else besides like them two. Like this is truly a very, very, very slow burn romance. So I feel like because I already knew the two characters from the first book, I think that's why this book is enjoyable to read. If I like had no backstory of the two characters, then I probably wouldn't have liked it nearly as much because I wouldn't have any of that history. I think I would rate this book like a 4.25 because it's definitely better than a 4. I already knew the characters and of the history, and it is a sequel, so obviously like I already know kind of what I'm getting into, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a 5 because it wasn't like the best thing or my favorite thing I've read, and I still do think the first one is better. So I think a 4.25 is a good rating because I did really, really enjoy reading it. There was no point in the book where I thought it was boring or where I wasn't wanting to read it or pick it up. Like I genuinely was happy the whole time while I was reading it. So yeah, that is my review on Nothing Like the Movies, and I hope you liked this video, and I would love it if you liked and subscribed to me and comment what you thought of this book, your own review, your rating, and I will see you in the next video.